Thank you for double-clicking your mouse tonight. You're listening to the Midnight Fright Cast in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Midnight Fright Cast special episode, surprise. We are in our favorite spot in October, not watching horror movies. We're in the basement of the Grand Theater out in Grand Island, Nebraska. That means one thing, we are here at Prairie Lights Film Festival. I am your host for this episode. I am Greg the Movie Guy, sitting... Nope, naturally to my left. Usually you sit on my left as Patrick.
That is correct. Hey, everybody, how's it going?
And Josh is on across the table.
I'm always across the table.
We're just missing Maddie and Hellraiser.
There you go.
Yay, we said it, Maddie.
We said it, Maddie, just for you.
All right, we are getting ready to kickstart an epic weekend. We actually had a great night last night. Saw some fantastic films, and we're kicking today off with some more fantastic films. We're going to be talking with some filmmakers. You know the usual shtick. We're not talking usual pieces of wood here. Just kind of getting us rolling here. What everybody think of the films from last night?
Thought it was a pretty solid evening, actually. It was mostly shorts. Well, it was only shorts last night. There was not a feature.
Yep.
That is true.
I think the longest one that ran was probably about close to 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That was the
Ryan
double
Olsen's
feature.
Yep.
No. Ryan Olsen's
Say Goodbye Grace.
Oh,
Say
yeah.
Goodbye Grace, excuse me.
Yeah.
That's right. Pretty solid evening.
Absolutely.
Good representation of Nebraska filmmakers. Obviously, a lot of people just starting out or, in the infancy of their filmmaking processes.
Right.
But I really think it was a good representation last evening.
Absolutely.
Anything stand out last night to anybody film-wise?
We'd seen I think it was a snippet of Goodnight. Say Goodbye Grace. Say Goodbye Grace. I'm going to give myself. Yeah. We've seen a snippet of that. I think it was last year. 2 years ago. Excuse me.
Yep.
And so it's interesting to see how that evolved. Really liked that. Really came together really nicely. Beautiful shots. Great script. But the one that really stood out to me was the short film Donor.
Yes, I would agree with you on that one.
Okay.
Absolutely just mind-blowing from beginning to end.
I had a chance to talk to the filmmaker
you did?
afterwards because he was up on the panel with me. And afterwards, he and I talked for a little bit. And, it was interesting because of his struggle trying to find talent for it, trying to find a location for it. It's things that you and I deal with every time we try to do a film. But I think that one just fell together really, really well for him. One location, single idea, hardly any dialogue whatsoever. But it was a very clean, clear idea.
Yep, absolutely.
And so for that reason, that kind of stuck out at me that someone went forward with a very specific idea and it came out as a really good story.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I definitely agree.
Last night we also saw a 15-year-old take the screen and the stage for the first time ever in Prairie Lights Film Festival history. Kaylie Waite, who has been in movies here and has been here the last at least few years for the festival, finally stood up and said she was ready to make her own film. She's been on enough sets and she's had enough experience to where she could write and direct her own thing. So she showed Take One last night for the first time, and it got received really well.
Really well received.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll get Kaylie in here for an interview.
Yeah, we'll talk to Kaylie, I'm sure. She
that
likes
was,
to talk.
Oh, absolutely. That was a fun watch because I remember 3 or 4 years ago when she approached me about that idea. And I told her we can make it happen, and I helped her with one of the initial writes on the script, and I'm glad she didn't go with the one that I had because I think I screwed up her idea, and she went off and did her own thing. But just seeing it come together and completely culminate last night was just awesome, absolutely awesome to see her be able to do that.
Yeah. So Blood Oak Sex Demon stood out to me.
The double bill,
because I wasn't, based on the name of that, I was like, this could go one of two ways.
Right.
And it actually went a third way that I wasn't even thinking about. So they did horror comedy really, really well, I thought, last night. The fake trailer was really funny. And they had that what do you call it? Grindhouse.
Very Grindhouse.
It
feel.
had a Grindhouse feel to it, but it also had like the 1970s, early 80s feel when it came to like being at a drive-in theater with the coming attraction segues into it and everything else.
Yeah, so
and
that
now our feature presentation.
Yeah.
Right. So that was fun. So Sex Demon was like, I mean, again, super cheesy, but a ton of fun. So
Yeah.
I enjoyed that one. And then it kind of sort of became the Midnight Fright show a little bit last night. And I don't say that because we had 8 films in there. I just say that because 4 of the films that kind of closed last night, we each had a hand on in some way, shape, or form. I mean, Patrick was on take 1 for the whole time. Greg wrote, and Patrick directed Twisted Sisters that played. I wrote The Feed, and so I mean, it's just like those 4 we each had kind of a hand on. Well, the Midnight Fright name was not on every one of them, but our name was on.
We were a piece of that.
Yeah, so that was kind of fun to watch that section also play pretty well. I thought Twisted Sisters played really well last night.
It got a really nice reaction from the audience.
Better than I expected, but my heart was racing once the opening credits started rolling.
Right.
I was just worried about that last part. I mean, not necessarily worried, but I was anxious to see what the audience response was going to be.
Yeah, that's all I wanted.
That's exactly where I was.
At the very end.
So that's the whole time that's the only part I was waiting for was that one section where he does what he does, and just to hear what everybody else was gonna react to.
Yeah,
but they reacted to a couple spots too, because the first reveal, when we pulled back and you first see what he's hooked up to, that got a good response, and then the first time he showed the machine he's hooked up to, that got a good response. So Twisted Sisters played really well last night.
Yeah,
so I was pretty excited about that.
And then the film that ended the evening, Bed and Breakfast. It's a really good film by Dead Lantern Productions. It didn't have as much impact on me last night because I've seen it several times leading into this. So I think that's why I put some of the other movies ahead of Bed and Breakfast, even though I feel Bed and Breakfast is a premium quality film.
Visually, it was probably one of the best looking
the better looking ones, absolutely.
Definitely.
And so that always plays really well. It's fun to see it in front of an audience because we've only seen it in front of a group of basically our friends. So you're going to get the response that you kind of expect to get in front of your friends. But playing it in front of an audience last night where you actually get, like, nobody knows who made this movie. Nobody knows what's coming. It played really well.
Yeah. But I think that's the cool thing about coming out to Prairie Lights and getting to see your work on a big screen, because I got to see a cut of Bed and Breakfast, and it was good, but seeing it on the screen last night was just like, this is where it was meant to play.
Right.
This is how it was meant to be seen.
Right.
And I can see why it's being picked up by festivals, because once you see it up there, it really makes a big difference.
It shines. Yeah. It shines on the big screen.
He does have a black and white version of it that is really good.
Oh, it's really good.
Yeah, it is.
It's really good.
I'd be interested to check it out, because just seeing it without the color would be interesting.
It actually plays really. It plays how Matt wants it to play when he shows it in black and white.
Sure.
So
okay, that'd be interesting to check out.
And I do like the black and white version better than
me too.
the color version.
Interesting. Okay.
But yeah, we got a whole bunch of films to watch today. We'll be bringing in filmmakers all day long. So yeah,
absolutely. And then one thing I definitely want to do, because we talk to filmmakers and all that come in that we don't normally see on a day-to-day basis, but I want to sit down with us and kind of go through our processes and our journeys on the films that we submitted too, because I feel like every year we don't talk about us, we talk to everybody else.
Right.
And we're just as much a part of this as everybody else is. So
yeah, I said, I mean, we have other filmmakers too that we were a part of their films, so we can kind of talk about how
see how other people do their stuff.
Right.
And, it's a collaborative effort, and it's a community down here, definitely, which is why we love coming down to Prairie Lights.
Yeah, but we can definitely break down our 4 when we come back real quick if we want to.
Absolutely.
So, cool.
All right, let's go watch some movies.
Cool. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Midnight Fright Cast. This is kick it off. I don't know, whatever. We're here right now with Jess Snider. He is the director of Hard Drive and The Feed that played last night. We literally just walked out of Hard Drive, so we're gonna start with that.
I mean, we walked out of it. It was that bad.
Yeah, it was 4 minutes of walk
shit.
out. So Hard Drive was part of a 48-hour film challenge, right, Jesse? So tell us how you got started with that.
Yeah, so there's actually a very complicated backstory to this. I had been getting really frustrated with the theater scene in Lincoln where I live, and film had always sort of been my ultimate goal, but I sort of upped my timeline quite a bit. There's like a lot of, just casting people that you have worked with before. I was going on tons of auditions, and I was just getting really frustrated. I wasn't getting the parts that I had hoped that were going to challenge me as an actor after having done acting for so long, and a lot of times I just wasn't getting cast at all. And so, I kind of threw a little bit of a mental fit and was like, I'm just gonna leave this all behind and start doing film stuff, because that's where I wanted to go anyway. So I had something for, would have been Prairie Lights, not last year. Yeah, it would have been for last Prairie Lights. It was going to be for the Midnight Frights. Or not Midnight Frights, the Flatwater Terrors.
Yep.
And I had a script that was written by someone else. I picked it out of the bank, and I had been setting it up. A lot of time and effort went into casting it. We had a couple rehearsals, and then right around the time we were going to film, I had to move super suddenly. So I had to delay it for quite a while. And that was it was supposed to be my homecoming, so to speak, in the film community. And it kind of just fell on its face, and that was super disheartening. That's not a way you want to start ever. My name was kind of already associated with, doesn't follow through. So I was really pissed off about that. And then a few months later, I saw stuff about 48 Hour, and I was like, I have to do this. So I just kind of found a ragtag group of other people who were trying to break in. My AD had moved here from Colorado, and he had just started living here a few months before. The guy who helped me write it is from Omaha, but huge film nerd, but hadn't done anything in film. All of our crew pretty much, it was their first time, and then most of our cast comes from theater as well. And we just put it together. You have 48 hours. So you draw your genre randomly from like a basket, and there's 5 options. There's like comedy, crime, horror, sci-fi, and drama were the 5. And the only one that I had any ideas for was sci-fi, and that's the one we drew.
That's what you got.
And so with sci-fi, you kind of, when you have no budget, you have to play into that part of it. You can't do taking itself seriously sci-fi, because no one's going to take it seriously except for you. And I would rather be ironically bad than unironically bad. So I knew going in that we were going to lean towards comedy when we started writing. You can tell it was written by a bunch of dudes in a room, because it doesn't necessarily come off super great in some aspects. With a little bit more time, I think we may have dialed down on some of that. But we let our minds take us, and we wrote it that first night, Friday night, filmed it all day Saturday, and then we had about 5 hours to edit on Sunday, turned it in.
Wow. That's like hardcore. I don't know if I could. Like, I've always wanted to do the 48-hour film
Right,
challenge,
I have
but
too, yeah.
never been like, I don't know if I could do it. That just seems like such a tough turnaround to pick something, write something, film something, cut something.
Is it like a complete no sleep situation, or are you able to get some?
Oh, I slept. Yeah.
Okay.
So I had to go out to Omaha. Obviously, I'm from Lincoln. We drew the genre at 7:30 p.m. We went to our DP's office. He had an office in Omaha, and we sat and wrote for a couple hours. I had Todd send me his final script. So we wrote most of it together then, but he went home and did some tweaks. He sent it to me. I made the final pass at it, changed a few things. I got about 6-7 hours of sleep that night, drove back to Lincoln. We filmed in Lincoln from about 10 or 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Got another decent nights of rest. Then we had to drive back out to Omaha and edit in his office again. Again, from we started at 9 and got done. The deadline was to turn it in was 7, so we finished at about 6.
Did you have to have a certain runtime for that?
5 minutes or less.
5 minutes or less.
And then do they screen them all there? Or?
Yeah, the next week.
The next week. Okay.
So the 48-hour challenge this year was last weekend.
Yeah,
I was planning on participating. When I chose my dates for the film that I have in production now, I specifically chose October, because last year it was in mid-September. and I figured it would fall around the same time. I had my dates set. I have 10 locations on my film I'm working on right now, so pretty much can't move anything without fucking it all up. And then the dates came out, and they were the exact weekend that I was shooting already. So I didn't do it this year.
Sure.
But yeah, it has to be 5 minutes. You have to have your genre. It has to be in your genre. They give you a line of dialogue that all 40 teams had to use, which was, it doesn't usually do that. So we decided to make that the punchline of the whole film. Right. It's called Hard Drive.
Yep.
So they gave out a best use of the dialogue, and we didn't fucking win it, which was garbage. None of the other groups, there was only one other group that even tried to do something with it. Their script, it was there's an IT, internet technology, and they're like, hey, can they take care of that? And the line was, IT doesn't usually do that, which is clever. So they chose to make it a clever, way of saying it. Mm-hmm. We chose to make the line, the whole build up to the line, which I think requires more as a writer. So I was a little bummed about that. Yeah. So there's the required dialogue and then the required prop, which really fucked us because the required prop was the Rolodex. That doesn't make any sense in the script when he's looking through it. Mm-hmm. And if you're doing a sci-fi, you have to really be creative with a Rolodex because why would a Rolodex be in a sci-fi
movie?
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Huh.
So that was that. And then it screened a couple weeks later. The screening for this year's one is on Thursday at Exarban.
Cool.
So then let's jump into the feed.
Yeah. Well, Josh wrote the feed, and when we spoke about it, he didn't really remember it, but he originally asked me to act in it. He just told me to pick one of the two male characters, and whichever one I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Because I had auditioned for Twisted Sisters, and he messaged me privately and was like, yeah, we decided to go with someone else, but I dug your audition, and, I have this other script. You can... whichever guy you want to play, you can do that, and, we'll get that going in a few months.
Right.
And I don't know what I think he realized that he had the dinner date thing he wanted to still do, and there was just a lot of scripts kind of in the air, and there wasn't enough time to direct all of them.
Right.
And then, I think I was very active, and I had a lot of questions and things like that, and so...
Yeah. We had chatted because you wanted to be a part of the Flatwater Terror thing this year, but you didn't have a script.
That's what it was.
And so I had just I had a shit ton just sitting on my computer.
That's right.
And that was one that I would have liked to see done. So that was the one that I was like, well, instead of acting in it, just do it.
Yeah, that's right. It's because I was working on another script. I had written a script by the time we shot Hard Drive, and that I also was going to film for this, but we didn't get to it. But yeah, I was talking about how I still didn't have a script completed yet, and he just said, "Why don't you direct it instead?" Mm-hmm. And yeah, so I got it together. I don't have any trouble finding actors. I have a pretty good idea of what I want, and I have so many different actor friends coming from doing acting for so long. That was the easy part. I had it cast in 3 days.
Yeah,
but finding the location was rough. We had a location that fell through. It was Tom Lombard's that fell through. But we were able to find another one pretty quickly.
The part that Brandon ended up playing also went through 2 different castings before Brandon took it.
Yeah, I can't even remember who the other people were, to be honest.
Derek Cook was going to do it.
Was he?
And then he couldn't get out of work one of the days. So he was the second one. I don't remember who you had.
That was Derek Cook. I didn't meet... Okay, so I just met Derek Cook in person at a going-away party for a friend of mine named Michael. And I sat there talking to him, and he talked about how he knew you guys. And then he told me he was in the vampire...
Love Bites.
Love Bites, and I saw Love Bites. And so I was like, oh, wow, I didn't even... And then now I remember he was in the chat for a day, and then he's like, turns out I can't do it, sorry.
Yeah. Cook was in there for a while.
I didn't realize that was the same.
Yeah.
Whoa. So he was involved. There was someone before that I had cast who dropped. But that pretty much has happened in every project of mine. I've had to replace someone super last minute.
Right.
I can't really picture anyone else having done it now. Right. Because he really made the role his own.
Right. Oh, Justin Milani was going to do it.
He was Justin Milani, yep.
Yeah.
So we went through a few people for him. Yeah. I shuffled around some of the women actresses too. Leah was always going to be Elizabeth, but Mary Oliver was someone else originally. Everybody kind of shuffled around, and then I was playing Tetris with actors for a couple weeks.
So you talked about it a little bit last night at the Q&A, but talk about some of the struggles that you went through beyond the casting for filming.
Yeah.
The feed.
The worst thing is when you show up ready to film and you get a text that says we won't have lights at all. And so it wasn't I'd rather have this problem than the opposite, but we had a ton of crew hanging around who didn't end up having anything to do because we didn't get lights. Yep. So that was a little, it's hard to keep morale high when we have more bodies in a hot barn, taking up space, and they don't necessarily need to be there, but they already are, and trying to keep them busy. But, that was just an extra thing that I would have rather not had to do.
How did you light that then? Because it seemed pretty well lit in the barn.
We used the sun.
Yeah, you just open windows or what?
No, we didn't even. The windows already placed where they were.
Oh, okay.
We didn't have to open.
So you
anything.
just kind of lucked out in that sense.
Well, the barn has enough cracks too.
Yeah,
there's some parts where light can come in, and then there's one big window that we tried not to get in any of the shots that it doesn't close or anything. There's no window sill or anything, and a lot of the light was coming in through there, but we didn't have to use any. It was all natural.
It was a script also that went from a nighttime thing to an all. It was just
that's
this
right.
is going to be shot during the day.
We did change it. There's a scene in the beginning where the women are driving, and that was supposed to be at night. They get knocked out, and then they wake up the next day. But we just added a line in there about you got me up at 5 a.m. to go to some festival. So then it was super early in the morning. As opposed to late at night, and that way, it went all day.
Yeah.
No, it worked out okay because we shot the women driving last when it was starting to get darker out, and then it played for early morning, which worked out really well.
Right.
Yeah, so not having lights was a bit of an issue. Ended up, I think, being a blessing though, because it has this very natural, gritty vibe that I don't think it would have had before. With that script, you don't want it to look too artificial.
Yeah, it's got this sun beating down, Texas Chainsaw kind of. Feel to it, and the sun was beating down. It was hot as shit.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Well, the day that you came to film was also a really hot day.
But it wasn't as bad as what you guys were
in the
dealing
barn
with.
was
I just remember
rough.
that weekend that you guys were shooting was just a brutal weekend.
Yeah. Everybody was drenched by the end. Yeah. We got done super early, though. We finished 2 hours early, which was nice because we didn't lose any light.
Which is unheard of.
Yeah. Well, once we hit our stride, everything happened at that table, right? So, it was just run it. We'll put the camera here. We'll put it there.
Right.
We took so many angles and shots that we didn't even end up utilizing. I noticed in the final cut, there aren't very many different shots in there. If I'd known that, we could have even shortened it even more because we shot about double the angles that we ended up even being seen.
Yeah.
We took it from everywhere. We were like...
But you want to have those options, so,
Yeah.
I mean, it really is important to have those multiple angles.
The lighting, and then, there's a reason, and I didn't know this full-fledged before, but I always pictured writing my own things, and so I wasn't planning on being in a position where I'm directing someone else's words so early in my directing. I don't really count the 48-hour thing because that was more me dipping my toe in and figuring out if this is something that I really, really want to pursue, which it was. But I had just done The Hero, and I had all these other things that I've written that I still want to do. And then very suddenly I'm, directing someone else's writing, which kind of has its own, I kind of mentioned this. It's, you want to have someone else's, you want to respect their vision, but you need something to identify with in the script. You need some sort of autonomy or else, it can feel a little pointless to, be directing something if you don't feel ownership over it. So that was much more of an internal thing. Josh and I spoke a lot about it, so it didn't really...
Couple conversations.
Yeah. There was only one little tense conversation, and it was a misunderstanding. It was the very first day when we showed up. I was explaining how we were going to shoot it, and Josh forgot that we changed the scene with the women to really early morning, so we were shooting at the end. He thought we were supposed to shoot it right away because it's all day. So we were I was trying to explain my thought process, and so it was a little tense then, but we kind of worked through it and ended up working out really well.
So this the feed required a little bit of makeup effects. Talk about that a little bit.
So Brandon Fiskus did the makeup effects. He also played Travis, and I didn't know just how good he was. I had only seen a few things. He'd done some gunshot wounds and Level Up. Nothing super gory like that, and so I wasn't sure exactly, the magnitude of what we were going to get. I was kind of, just put my my marbles in that basket. And then what we ended up getting was, so awesome. I only paid him like $300 and he did all that. So yeah, they turned out really, really good.
Yeah. Because I had worked with him in that movie. He had done the makeup for me. Really nice guy. Really excited to be doing what he's doing right now because he's still kind of getting started out doing this, but he seems really passionate about it. Yeah,
he has his own production company, Crow Show or something like that. He just directed his first short film, Catching Up, that summer as well. I think he shot Catching Up just a couple weeks before he came out and did the feed. And so, he's a very creative person as well. And he's able to do that stuff really quick. I was so impressed with how everything came out. The head on the table looked so good, and then the way we got that bite, man.
Yeah, the bite
the
looked
blood.
pretty good.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
I actually heard people when he stepped back and the blood was coming out. People were like, "Oh!"
Yeah. And hats off to Sarah for sitting as still as she did in that heat, in an uncomfortable position, and everything else.
Yeah. When we make another pass at it, I was telling Josh, it's super hard to tell, but there's a point when she blinks a couple times, and so we're gonna remove those in the final because there's gonna be another pass, and then we'll try to get some color correction going too.
So real quick, Jesse, tell us where we can find all your stuff, what you're working on now. Pimp your shit.
Okay, so I update all the stuff that I'm doing. My film company is called Gnarly Pioneers Film Co. You can find it on Facebook if you like it. If you follow that page, I'll have tons of updates whenever I'm having auditions. I'm currently in production on a 30-minute sort of romantic drama called Amour Amour. We're 80% of the way through that. And then I can't really speak to some of the stuff I have going on afterwards, but when I'm at a point where I can update those, I'm just going to be writing a ton over the next few months. I have a bunch of concepts that I want to get off the ground. And then I have some acting stuff that I'm going to do, which I'm kind of actually more excited for than I had planned because I kind of turned away from acting. But I'm looking forward to that. But The Hero, my first real film, hopefully we'll be playing sometime next year. We just finished editing that. The feed, I'll probably put it out online somewhere here in the next couple months after we make our last pass at it. So you can find those I'll post them on my page. I'll have a YouTube. But all the information that you need will be on the Gnarly Pioneers Facebook page.
Very cool.
We will be back. We're going to go check out some more films. Jesse might jump back on later. We'll see. We got a ton more filmmakers coming up, though, so we will see you guys after the break.
We are back, and we have got another filmmaker to talk with. We have special director Kaylie Waite.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
We're going to have you sit a little bit closer to the mic when you talk.
Okay.
There you go.
Thanks.
So we're just kind of wrapping with directors and kind of talking about their experiences on films that they've made, and we want to hear yours. Especially we want to hear yours. Talk to us about it.
Ask her a question.
Yeah, that's probably the easier way to do it.
What was the creative process that you went through on take one?
I wrote the script back when I was 11, and I have always sort of had the idea of a cult story, but trying to not make it cliche like others. I mean, it's a little cliche, but like in a fun way. I'd say I sort of came up with the idea of having children be a part of it, and because there's like such a gray area when it comes to children being in horror movies or dying, but I thought that, it's not really that bad, so why not just have them in?
All right.
So you said you wrote this when you were 11 and you are now?
15
years old. It took a while to get it done. Tell us about the struggles of trying to get it done.
From what I remember my mom telling me is that just no one really messaged her back about it.
No, it was more everybody had projects going on, and so it's hard to find a time where you can just say, hey, let's do this, So it's not so much of a no one message back. It's just a, yeah, we'll have to work on this. And then it gets tabled.
And wait. It's Heather Waite.
Yeah. It was worth the wait.
Oh, yeah,
there it is. There you go. There you go.
It is.
So as far as the filmmaking process, you kind of talked a little bit about that when you were on stage last night. Tell us about the highs and the lows of what all you went through and getting it made.
I'd say everything was a pretty high point, at least when we got to filming. At first, I didn't really want to do the script because I was sort of embarrassed by it since it was such an early work and that so many rewrites. I was worried it wouldn't end up so well. It ended up doing pretty well. I think that's big help from the cast and people who supported me, but it was pretty good for working. It was a lot of high points. There were some problems with schedules and problem with making sure to get on task, and because working with children can be a problem for the scenes with the more children. But it was I'd say it went pretty well.
Awesome.
How was your casting process, Kaylie? How did you find your kids that you needed?
Well, me and my mom set up a casting day where we went to the Turbine Flats building, and we had Matt there with us, and we were waiting for people to come in. Only 3 people showed up. There was Rio, then Sarah, and then Elliot. And they all knocked it out of the bat. Rio was the first one to show up. She auditioned originally for Jade, the more shy, timid character, but she fit a lot better for Bella, which is, the other girl. She did a really good job. Sarah did a really good job of being scared, timid, frightened. And then Elliot did a really good job of being the bombastic, wanting to get in trouble kid. And then they were the only ones to show up for, I can't remember how many hours, but it was a long day, and they were the only ones to show up. So they sort of got the part based off of that, in a way. Not exactly. They did do really well. So they got the jobs pretty easily. And then later, we still needed one character for Sean, who was the kind of silent, don't get me in trouble. So Blake Popejoy sent in a online thing and showed us kind of what he could do, and he got the part.
Awesome.
It kind of that's kind of nice how that works out, where you only got 4 people, but it's like seems like it's like the 4 right people to do your project. What about your adult characters, Kaylie?
Well, of course we had to have Eric Moyer. Every film needs Eric Moyer.
More Moyer.
Yes. We definitely needed a kind of sort of respectable looking guy to play cult leader.
And you chose Moyer?
I think she chose well.
Respectable.
That's with a question mark.
He's just...
Yeah. No, Eric was a great choice.
We love you.
He was mainly just supposed to be... It was supposed to be a respectable looking family. Something that could look like, hey, this is just a normal couple. Because there was Eric and then there was Michelle. I can't remember how Mom got Michelle. I think it was like
We'd worked through Dead Lantern together.
Yeah. At first, I sort of had the idea of having Greg as the cult leader, but we just sort of thought about it a little more.
No, it's because Greg did not audition.
Yeah.
He was asked multiple times, and he dropped the ball several times, so that one was on me. I apologize.
But no, Eric came in and he said, yeah, I would love to do it. He kind of has that Midas touch where anything he touches just immediately turns to gold, and he brings so much to his characters that it's not even scripted. And you're like, yep, we're going to do it.
He definitely brought more comedy to the short than I was sort of expecting, but I'm really glad it turned out as horror comedy because I was kind of hoping for like a little less of a serious story. I think it turned out really well.
Between me and Moyer, you got the better choice. I'll tell you that right now. You got way more depth out of Moyer than me.
After watching it on the big screen last night, were you surprised at how much comedy was in it and how the audience was reacting to it?
I've seen the movie through multiple times. I showed some of my friends who couldn't make it because they wanted to see it. So I showed them. I've seen through it multiple times. I thought it turned out really well. I was a little surprised to see so many people laughing, and it made me really excited that my first film could get that much of a reaction from people, though I do feel like maybe it was just because I'm a 15-year-old and they didn't want to make me feel bad.
I don't think the laughs were pity laughs.
I don't feel they were pity laughs at all.
Nobody knew you were 15 while they were watching that movie.
Well, yeah, the only people who knew were the people that were involved with the production itself, or knew you guys directly.
That's true.
Yeah. I don't think any of them were pity laughs or pity reactions in any way, shape, or form.
What's next on the docket, Kaylie? What else you got going on?
I'm not going to say too much. My next idea is expanding on this story I created. All I'm going to say is that it has to do with a school. I do have multiple other ideas that don't exactly have to do with this, but they're still sort of in the works for what I have planned. I do have planned of like a series of doing every single phobia in like the list of the world that's known. Doing a whole bunch of little short films that will go into a sort of
anthology.
Like, yeah.
Tailor that back. You mean for each letter of the alphabet?
Yeah.
Because everyone in the world, you're going to be filming until you die.
I'm totally fine with that. I'm totally fine with that because I enjoy this.
Awesome. That's what I really like to hear is, I remember, I don't know if you remember when you came to me 4 years ago with this idea and just seeing how it's evolved in each of the different stages and then getting to see the culmination on screen just absolutely blows my mind. So I'm super proud of you.
Thank you.
Keep making films because you've got a solid talent.
Well, like I was saying last night, I'm grateful for that lag time of filming it because it gave her a chance to kind of sit with that script and grow with it and come back to it because, looking at what it was when you saw it, back 4 years ago and seeing what it is now, there's definitely some stuff that changed.
Absolutely.
Of course. I mean, I'll be honest, I wasn't the greatest fan of the script. That's why there were so many rewrites.
Right.
I almost didn't want to do it at all because I didn't want to embarrass myself in front of all these people.
Yeah, she reads something that she writes at 11 now and she's like, oh my God, this is stupid. And it's like, no, it's not stupid. Just edit it. That's why you just go through and edit it.
That's totally part of the creative process. And you'll feel that even when you feel like you have a solid script, you'll look back and be like, what the hell was I thinking? So,
and speaking of, sorry, Greg, go ahead.
No, that's all.
I was going to say, and speaking of the creative process, not only were you writer-director on this, you also helped on the properties for the film as well as some of the makeup. And the creative process is a learning process. Talk about what you learned on this and what you feel you want to learn going on.
I sort of knew a little bit before going in since I've had about 7 years of slight experience with acting ever since 8 to 15. I've learned a little bit, not as much as I learned now, but I've learned a little bit about camera angles, the sound, how everyone needs to be silent, and all those kinds of things. But now I'd say I sort of learned more about how filming takes a lot more time than you might expect it to, but as long as you work, you can get it done in proper time. We got it done in about 2 days, and it took the full length of both days, but we managed to get it done.
Cool.
Kaylie has a new production company that she just started. So what's the name of that company, Kaylie?
Dead Pedal Entertainment, Dead Pedal without spacing, and then entertainment. I do have, there will be a YouTube channel for it, posting any movies that I worked on. There will also be game things as well, just because it's sort of just a overall company of what I plan on doing with my life. I also do have an Instagram for it, which is deadpedal_entertain.
I've already liked Dead Pedal on Facebook. What's taking you two so long? Just so you know.
Jumping on that now.
Dead Pedal on Facebook.
That's run by my mom.
Yep, that's who I got the invite from.
Yeah.
So
then I did like it. I do like that one.
Okay.
Ha!
All right. Yeah, he called me. What else we got, guys?
I think that's all I've got for questions.
Yeah, I don't have any other questions. Just keep us updated on what you're working on. I love watching new filmmakers grow and seeing how they do, and keep us posted.
Yeah, I definitely will.
Check out Dead Pedal, Kaylie's page on Facebook for sure. Take one. Are you going to put that somewhere for people to watch, Kaylie, or are you going to do something else with it first?
Mom has put it up to one
film festival
so far.
Just submitted it. The deadline was today, so I went ahead and submitted it. We're checking into different ones to see, what are the criteria? Do they say that you can or can't have it on YouTube yet? And so far, I haven't seen any of them that say you can't have it on YouTube.
Right.
But I just don't want to post it
Yeah.
and then find out, we're disqualified.
Because you have to be careful of those, because someone will say you can't have them publicly available, that they can show at festivals, but they can't be publicly available. So just be careful with those.
Yeah, so far since this is a short, I've seen it for features where they say don't have features on YouTube but not the shorts. But we plan to put it on YouTube here shortly after I go through that list, checking out all those different festivals. So
I was thinking sometime tonight, since it already passed yesterday, and I'm sure that people who might have accidentally missed it would definitely want to see it. So I was thinking sometime a little later tonight. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so check out Kaylie's Facebook page. And then, Heather, you can't leave without pimping out your stuff.
Of course.
So where can we find you?
I'm on Evil Forest Effects. Kaylie is eventually going to take me over one day. I think she's going to rule the world.
Your mom's going to be working for you.
I'll be working for her.
She already does,
and I'll be like, remember that time when I bought you that clothes that you wanted? Remember? I remember.
She already does work for me since she worked on this movie.
Just say, shut up, give me a sandwich.
Get yourself in the sandwich. Get me a sandwich from the kitchen. But no, I'm really proud of Kaylie. I've been in her corner this whole time, pushing her, saying, you got this, you can do it, and just make the film, and then you can always make another one. If you don't like how it turns out, just keep on going. Yeah. So.
And I just want to give one more shout out to the young people, your young stars in that film.
Absolutely.
Right.
Because they were a delight to work with. They were very professional. I know that a couple of them had experience, but not a ton of it. But they were very professional on set. And that was such a delight to work with Elliot and Sarah and Rio and Blake.
They were surprisingly mature. Like, the youngest we had, at least for main cast, was 9. Then I believe it went to either 10 or 11. And then 13, 14. They were very, very mature and did a really good job of getting to work, getting on time. There was some times where we goofed around a little bit, but I mean, you kind of got to do that.
You need to have that, absolutely.
Yeah, you gotta make sure you feel happy while doing this.
Yeah, but you just don't feel that way at the end of the day when you're.
That's true.
Yeah. So, well, excellent. Thanks for joining us on the podcast. And we're going to be taking another break here and coming back after we watch a couple more films and maybe eat some food.
Game on.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the break. We are here with a brand new filmmaker. We watched his film last night. It's writer-director of a film called Donor. It's Dale Brooks.
Hey, what's going on? Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Really
We're glad to have you here.
This is really awesome. Glad to have met everyone.
So, kick off with some questions, guys.
Josh had said first-time filmmaker. Was Donor actually your first film, or have you done anything before?
Yeah, it was my first film. Yep, first shot in the dark and see where we landed, and then go from there, really. Yeah.
And what encouraged you to do this movie? I mean, you had said last night at the Q&A that this is something that you've been milling around and stuff like that. But I mean, what really got you into it, and what really pushed you to that point of saying, damn it, I'm going to make this film?
I think it's just that always curiosity of like, well, what if? Is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? And kind of like, well, it's better off knowing than not. I mean, that can be a real burden. And so finally, I was just like, let's just do it. We have a talented film base, people in Hastings, surprisingly, just people that are curious about it, and the support with the community behind it, intrigued and interested, and that was kind of just that leaping point where it was like, well, everything's kind of set up. Let's see what this college has to offer. With us being graduates of Hastings College, the whole crew was full Hastings College. It was just like, all right, let's just see. Anxiety. And then the curiosity at the same time.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. Last night you did share with us some of the challenges of basing a film in Hastings or creating and developing a film in Hastings. Go ahead and share with our audience what those challenges were.
It was interesting with the challenges in shooting in Hastings was because it wasn't really like a challenge to shoot in Hastings. It was to get the people there in Hastings. Or, well, what are we going to do for talent? Who do we pull from? Do we pull from the college? The college they have the theater on campus, but it's very stage presence. And so the actors not really interested, surprisingly. They want to do Broadway. That's what they want. Film is just not of interest. And so that was the biggest challenge in shooting there, was getting somebody from somewhere where we have no connections whatsoever. This is our first film. So how do we do that? That was the tough one. You know, we hadn't networked. I think we came here the year before to Prairie Lights, but even then it's just tough to build a network.
Absolutely.
And start talking with people. So that was the challenge. The biggest challenge was to get a star and start building that network.
Where did that story come from? Like, why that story?
I was inspired by an urban legend / kind of reality.
Okay.
I had heard this like in passing where women and men were being abducted and they're waking up in these bathtubs full of ice. And all that they have to the left of them is a phone and it says dial 911. And then they go to move to reach for it and they can't, and they're trying to figure it out until they are look into a mirror and their kidneys are gone or whatever, and it's all being sold on the black market. And so I started playing around with that idea, and it stirred my curiosity of like, well, why is this happening in Hastings or a small town? Or it surely could, if any, like, you know, Texas Chainsaw Massacre happens in a small town. Why can't this, right? Like, so I started playing off that idea, and then the idea of, well, slowly dying. Like, well, what if the phone isn't working, or what if this? And then started to mold that around, and that's where kind of the main script came from.
What was the idea with the timers?
The timers were just, I liked the idea of notes, but for me it wasn't enough. I wanted something else, and I really wanted to play off of the heart rate. I think that was really cool in that. So what else sounds like a heart rate? Well, what if there's timers? What if she is, not only does she know that she's dying very slowly, but what if it's that visual reminder of that? And that really intrigued me. And it's like, all right, let's set up 3. It's just that she's got to overconquer it. You know, each one get past the next. Okay, what's next? What's next?
Yeah. And I don't want to give away the kind of twist that you had in the film itself, because I want the audience to go out and actually see this film. But how did you then end up on that twist? And the challenge is without saying what it is. Exactly.
Fair enough. The twist it was twofold. I knew I wanted to do that, but to a point, right? I am a sole believer that things are kind of made and the magic really does happen in the editing room. And it's fun. Oh, look at this.
Yeah, we got someone
Ghost
joining
executive
us.
Producer himself. Hey, are you hopping in?
Sure.
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah, just joining us is director of Heuristic, Jameon Rush. Is that correct, Jameon?
Yes.
Did I pronounce that correctly? Excellent. So we'll be getting to you in a second here, and then probably have both of you talk about working with each other.
Love it. Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Yeah.
Talk about working with your talent, because you both shared the same talent. What is her name again? I'm sorry, the actress.
Meredith.
Meredith McMullen.
There we go.
I always say McMullen, she hates that. She's like, Dale, you can't figure this out?
And you found her out of Omaha. And
Jameon did.
And how did that go about? Because it sounded like you were trying to find people in Hastings. And, you know, Lincoln is very similar. We've got a strong theater resources there, but nobody wants to do film. So we're constantly looking for people as well in a larger city. So you had to reach outside of Hastings, and you found her from Omaha, correct? So why don't you talk about the talent then?
Yeah, Jamie, if you want to take that one over, that you were kind of leading this, spearheading that.
Sure, yeah. It was actually a post that she had put out, I believe, on the Nebraska Filmmakers Facebook page. She had just finished up, or was in the process of finishing up, hair and makeup school up in Minneapolis, Minnesota, I believe. But she wanted to get some experience on the acting side, and that worked perfectly for us because we obviously had a zero budget basically on that project. And so
don't we all?
A little bit easier to get someone without too much credentials there. But yeah, it was her first time acting on the film side of it. And so we had a great relationship working with her. And then so when I went to cast for Heuristic, it just made sense. And she wanted to work again with us. Apparently we didn't scare her off or do anything wrong. So
I don't know how we didn't.
Yeah.
Jumping back to Donor just really quick. It really worked well for you that you were able to put it in a simple one set location for that. Did you keep that in mind as you were writing it, or was it just that's how it grew organically?
No, what we like to do is we like to take that scope and that idea and, okay, let's make it not as big as you can, but let's really get that out there and then start cutting away and make it a little bit more feasible and realistic. And so we broke it down to, okay, well, I think there was like at one point there was a hotel idea, and then there was another point at like a club or something weird, and it was like, no, what is it in its simplest form? And so it was the act of that. Mm-hmm. Cool. What is feasible? How long can we keep these actors and crew members there? And it was like, okay, one day. What can we do in one day? One scene. Okay, cool. One location. And just kept that in mind. And that was in mind after developing the story and really moving forward with it. It was one actor, one location, basically one scene almost. But that was very, forefront.
Good.
Definitely.
It was very effective, and that's something that I really appreciated about it. The motel worked great because it was a little more seedy than usual than something else that you would see. Being able to use the parking lot. You said the owners of the motel were okay as long as you didn't show their sign. Yeah. It just seemed like things worked out really well for you on that. So.
That's all this one. He put a lot of pieces together and was behind scenes helping out with that, and it's weird just how, you guys, I definitely know, is just when the things fall in place, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you just mentioned working with a partner is always a great thing to be able to do, someone that you can trust and everything else. So you two tell us how you met and what your working relationships are then when it comes to film.
Yeah. What's that mean? What's that laugh, huh?
So we both went to the same college, Hastings College, and then we both lived in Hastings for a number of years. And obviously there's not a huge film scene there, not a ton of people there. So the few of us that are there kind of gravitate towards each other. We both have a passion for it and both feed well off each other, and worked a number of projects, not just on the narrative side, but also on commercial projects as well. We both have done quite a few commercial projects back and forth where I hired him, he hired me. So, yeah, it just made sense as far as moving over onto the narrative side to make it work together.
It's interesting that, we went from commercial to this, but that's always been both of our passions is, well, let's make some money off of it. So you can at least practice and get to know your camera and get to know lighting and start implementing that in, and then it kind of just happened organically and naturally too after that point of working on projects together. Definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you three all work together, right? On projects?
On projects, yes.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, on all the Midnight Fright films, we work together on those. We do projects individually and with other groups as well, though. So, but yeah, we all trust each other pretty well. So then kind of segueing over to your project.
Yeah.
Where did that start? Well,
that was basically the next step. So we had worked on Donor together, and then it was, all right, we did one scene, what ended up being about 7 minutes. It's like, hey, let's go jump it up in scope. Let's go to multiple locations. Let's film a 20-minute short film. Maybe got a little bit ambitious there, but it was kind of the next step. And so this one, a big passion for me is being outdoors. And so I wanted to film out in a location that wasn't Nebraska, wasn't just a flat country, which there's nothing wrong with that. If it fits the scene, I love it here. But wanted to kind of take the experience of filming out in the mountains. And so we did a 3-day shoot out there, 1 day in Colorado Springs, and then 2 days up in Cripple Creek, Colorado, about 45 minutes outside of there.
It was beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, we found some really scenic locations, and it definitely added to the logistical difficulties, but it added also to the storytelling aspect of it, where we didn't have to worry about signs, power lines, roads, all that being in the background. There really wasn't much out there.
Mm-hmm. Right. Tell us about those challenges of working out.
It's no cell phone service is a real issue there. Luckily, most all of our crew was coming in together, but that was kind of one of the things where we couldn't tell, all right, we'll meet you out there. You guys head out there. You couldn't get cell phone service. It was 45 minutes from our hotel that was in Cripple Creek out to where we were actually filming. The other aspect of how dark it gets, how quickly.
Yes.
That was
Didn't know that one.
Yeah. So
did not know that one.
Yeah. It's like the first day you're out there, you're like, oh shit. Yeah.
Exactly
all right.
Right.
Absolutely. Yes. And then once it's dark, all right, we still have to get everyone an hour back to the hotel, and it's pitch dark.
Excellent. Talk about working with your actors then.
Yeah, that was unique. as far as only the second time I'd worked with talent on a narrative side of it. But our actress, Meredith, we'd worked with in the past, so we were familiar. Brady Vignes was our actor there. He's got a theater background, so that was, I guess, maybe a little bit of a challenge there as far as adapting it differently from the theater, where you've got so much more emotion that you're needing to convey, where we just had to pull that back quite a bit. But they were awesome. They literally were up game for just about anything. I mean, we had them out there like it looks in the mountains, running around, and so they did an awesome job.
Yeah, excellent. Then where did your story come from?
So the story, I got inspiration from a couple different films that I've seen. Backcountry is one on Netflix that I just loved, and just the survival aspect of it. And so that's where we really initially wanted to push it, but we also wanted to have a story involved with it. And so it could be one thing to go out and just film like a survival challenge type show, but we wanted to have kind of that storytelling aspect, that drama behind it, so that you could still relate and care for the characters.
Yeah, and it actually was a beautiful story.
Thank you so much.
I think that's one of our biggest strengths. Is it ultimately it comes down to the story. It doesn't matter what gear we have, doesn't matter how big a crew we have, how many locations. It's really that story, and that's what's important and makes or breaks a short film.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you on that. So I think that wraps up my questions. You guys have anything?
As far as you guys coming from Hastings, are you still at school, or are you graduated long past, or?
Well, we're a little older.
Yeah, 2 years out of school.
Wasn't sure.
No, it's a good question. Yeah, we're both 30 now, aren't we?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. So, as far as like equipment, this is all your equipment that you're using, or was it anything rented, or how'd you come about?
Rented a few items. The nice part is I do commercial video work.
Oh, perfect.
So,
and we've met a new friend.
That's right. And so everything I buy for there, I'm like, well, I can dual purpose this.
There you go.
That's absolutely right.
Okay.
Yeah,
and that's been a big focus of mine, of owning all the equipment. So that way, when I want to do passion projects like this, I have the capability.
You can go out there and do that. Absolutely.
Excellent.
Absolutely. Okay. Very cool.
How big was your crew? I mean, I saw the credits and everything else, but I mean, we mainly work with the skeleton crew, and most people do. But talk about that just a little bit, if you would.
Yeah, the crew, donor and heuristic, we stepped it up a little bit more and was able to pull in a little bit more with that. But with donor, I think it was very minimal. I mean, counting off the top of my head, maybe seven, 8. That's about what it was.
And that's counting talent as well, hair and makeup. That's everyone.
Yeah, it was like, all right, you're going to direct, okay, and you're going to do slate, okay, and you're going to do editing. And, that's filmmaking. I love it.
And like,
I love it.
This is always a question that I have in my mind. Then what is your ratio to like volunteer to paid talent, that type of thing?
Sure. Yeah. That's the first project. We really didn't have a budget at all. We ended up spending about $400 and we just split that. The next project, I did want to pay everyone just because you can get that level of buy-in. You don't have to worry about, oh, hey, I can't really do this because it was volunteer time, where I wanted to have that dependability. And so we crowdfunded in order to have the funds to cover paying everyone, as well as logistics of getting everyone out to Colorado and back.
Excellent. Yeah, because getting those funds sometimes it's probably one of the most difficult things.
Yes, it's probably the biggest challenge.
Yeah. So, well, guys, I appreciate you being on the podcast, and welcome to Prairie Lights Film Festival, with your films and everything else. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of your stuff.
Yeah, real quick, what is next? What do you guys got going on now?
Well, Thursday we actually premiere a film up at the Omaha Film Festival's 48-hour film challenge.
Cool.
This last weekend, we embarked on that, so that was a lot of fun.
Have you guys done that before?
We haven't. We've always wanted to.
Yeah, you got to.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that.
So you get to see that next week?
Yes.
Then?
Yeah, they're going to premiere all of them that were in there. I think they had 26 or somewhere around 30 total submissions that they'll show that night.
Okay. So what was yours? What did you pull out of the hat for that?
Drama, I think. Yeah, right.
Yep, we got drama as our one of 4, and then they had a line of dialogue that everyone had to use, and then a prop that everyone had to use.
Okay.
All right. So we like to stick more towards an eerie thriller style. Like that's what we love. Like we are very passionate about that. But then we're like, drama. Oh, okay. Well, can we twist it at all?
Drama could still be a thriller.
Can we do a thriller? Like, come on, give us something.
Yeah.
And with it being October and getting close to Halloween, we got to produce another suspense thriller horror somewhere around there.
2 minutes something. So.
All right. So you have things up your sleeve then.
Yep.
Awesome. Good.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Where can we find you guys? Facebook, the Instagram. Where can we find website? Where can we find you guys?
Yeah, so all of my projects that we've got going on are on Optics Digital Media, is the production company that I own. Used to do commercial work as well there, but now it's mainly focused on narrative and projects like this, some documentary work as well. We got YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram for that.
And cool. I'm right there with him.
Okay.
I'm 90% project?
Yeah, something like that.
No, it's too high. It's too high.
Cool.
But,
Well, awesome. Once again, thanks guys for being on the podcast, and it was great seeing your work, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of your work in the future, and just getting together possibly at things like this and talking more about the craft.
we'd love to. We'd
Excellent.
absolutely love to. Thank you so much for this, guys.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much.
Cool. We'll be right back. With
Yep,
a
taking
brand
another
new,
break.
Brand new artist.
And we're back. Sitting with us now is sometime filmmaker. You still make a lot of films here, Hunter, right? You're still doing that?
Yes, in a certain way. I have contributed a lot in these past couple of years. Since I was like a sophomore in high school, one of my first film shoots was with you guys on the set of Witches. That was
the film that never got made.
I was like, what is Witches?
It got made. It's just never been released.
Okay, it's never seen the light of day.
But since then I've been in a lot of like extra background roles and production assistants. I directed my first narrative short. It was called Proof. It was premiered here at Prairie Lights in October of 2017, and that was for Flatwater Terrors, and that was a really defining experience for my filmmaking journey so far, and for my senior year, the memories. And I had another short I directed play last year called The Inconvenient Truth. That was a lot of fun. And I didn't have a directed short film that I directed play this year, although I was an assistant director on The Feed.
Yeah, I forgot about you did that, yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was an exhausting shoot, but it was definitely worth it, and I really enjoyed working with Jesse and all the actors and the crew on that. And
How do you think that played on Friday?
Played really well. It was great. I think it turned out super well, and there were a few things I wasn't expecting in the film. Like in the middle of the film, there's this big reveal, and then classical music starts playing. That was a really awesome moment, and it fit in with the horror aspects of the story really well. I really enjoyed watching that, and I was also a supporting character in Take One, Kaylie's film. I was one of the evil cult members in that. That turned out really great, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Kaylie Waite has in her future. And I did a bit of voice work for Say Goodbye, Grace. I don't know if that appeared in the final film, but my name was credited, and that felt really awesome. And I was also in a background character for 1995, and that was actually filmed at the Waverly High School that I went to, graduated from, and that was an incredibly fun experience. Got to live in the 90s for a day. And of course, Eat Like a Grandmaster is technically my first leading role, although the other lead is, of course, Erin Howard, or she goes by Erin Fram.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. That was filmed last year. That was also a really super fun shoot. I remember the day that Tom and I discussed it. We went to this cafe, and he was explaining a lot of like really intricate details about chess, and that also played in with playing chess with nachos. That was really cool. Really funny.
So you were in a ton of stuff this year. I just didn't realize, I guess, how much stuff.
And working on set on different things as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you were really active across the board.
Right,
so.
A lot of irons in the fire.
I like that term.
Irons in the fire, yeah.
Irons in the fire.
So what's the future look like for you? What do you have in the works?
I got super busy this year, and there were certain projects I had in mind, but they kind of fell by the wayside. But now I'm re-motivated again. I have a couple of short films, a couple of drama short films. Some people would say, I guess one of my writing suits that I lean most towards is dramatic storytelling. And so I have 2 short films, dramatic short films planned, and I also have a raunch comedy planned.
Raunch comedy. Interesting.
Don't entirely know how that's going to play out, but I'll just get the speculation ball rolling there.
There you go. Okay.
And then one of the final questions we always ask our guests is, where can we find your work?
I have my first 5 short films I directed on YouTube, and I do plan on eventually uploading my recent film to Vimeo.
Is there a production company name or something we should be looking for when we do searches on YouTube or Vimeo then?
My last 2 films I did with Rodrigo Carballo, and he started this film production logo called Sikawi, and the logo appeared in my last film, but he's kind of disappeared from filmmaking, so I'm not using Sikawi anymore, I guess. I do have an idea for my own film production company or logo, I guess, to use in my future films. I'm going to call it Cinefire Pictures.
Cinefire Pictures. Excellent.
Yeah. I guess if one of the ways you can find my work is I have a link to it on my Facebook page, I believe, my YouTube channel. And of course, I'll eventually link my Vimeo page once I get that started up. Sorry, that was a little long.
No, that's all right. Just want to say thanks for coming onto the podcast, and looking forward to seeing your future works.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
You bet. Thanks. And we are back. Well, sort of. Unfortunately, during an interview with Matt Kister and Clint Beavers, we encountered a technical difficulty. So what we're going to do is pick up in the middle of that conversation in 3, 2, 1.
Just don't start the goddamn story over again. All right? Start with she let out the most blood.
So when I was 9.
Let's go back to when I was 9
Right.
years old. I was just so rudely interrupted in the middle of my story here. No,
Go ahead and go.
No. Sarah has the most blood-curdling scream I've ever heard in my life.
Yes.
Even in horror films in general, I've never heard anything quite like it. It was quite incredible.
Wow.
And
it was great.
she sustained it. It went so long, and then it has that weird peeking up and down valleys to it, and you're like, wow. And we all covered our ears, and then she ran off, and we were like, that is incredible. So Sarah's scream is now the new Wilhelm scream for Dead Lantern Pictures.
Yeah.
So we have been taking her scream and placing it in all of the other films and chills. So for example, for example, in Hysteria, Christina, my muse, or one of them, she screams, but I was like, DJ, we're replacing it. We're putting Sarah's scream over there. So you're going to hear Sarah scream. Wow. It'll be a drinking
multiple
game.
times.
It'll be a drinking game. Which girl screaming is Sarah? And then the answer is all of them. So, yeah.
So you're going to be significally toasted by the end of watching
You'll be dead before it's over. It's going to be like a 3-hour anthology film. And you, sir, as I said, I still remember this because I was like, you know what? Greg will be the very first person that gets to see the finished chills down your spine. Because you're the movie guy, right? And I said that a long time ago, on Facebook. I was watching one of your guys' things on Facebook, and I think I posted it. I still remember that. So you will get it.
Okay.
Now, if you hate it, you're dead.
No, see, Greg positively reviews things in a positive way. So even if he hates it, he'll say something real. He'll find joy and wonder in it.
That's what
I love the 73-minute length of it. That was really good.
Yeah. There's an amazing 65-minute cut of this movie somewhere in here.
The credits were fantastic.
So yeah, you will still get the before everybody else. So I haven't forgotten.
Awesome. I'm excited to review.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
I can't tell you when it's going to be done.
That's fine.
It'll be done at some point.
So Shivers, you can find find Shivers where? Can you find Shivers anywhere?
No. YouTube destroyed my channel. They terminated the entire channel, so you can't even see any Dead Lantern stuff anymore right now.
Cool. So great.
Yeah.
But you
asshole.
Well, Shivers and Isabel, you sold out of at your convention that you went to, right?
Crypticon.
Yes, we went to Crypticon. This was it July? It was July.
Yeah, it was July. At the end of July.
It was July. We went to Crypticon. We took 150 DVDs and or Blu-rays. We had Shivers Iron Spine, Eyes of Isabel, and Outpost Doom because I had found some secret Outpost Doom DVDs floating around. We sold out of all of them within 6 hours. So we sold for 4 hours on Friday, and then we were sold out by noon on Saturday. It started at 10. So in 6 hours, we sold 150 discs.
Yeah. So
and
that's how
because
bad Isabel is.
No. So, see, it's bad, but I can convince people through the power of persuasion to buy it anyway.
Right. Well,
as you can probably tell, ladies and gentlemen, I like to talk, and so I can pitch anybody anything. So
that is 100% true. I've heard that pitch, and I almost bought something, but I didn't.
Well, it's because you had no money, and we said go away. Then we have other people to try to get.
You were like, "Here's copies for free." But yeah, I said Isabel. It used to be. It was on Prime for a while, right?
I made a poor life decision. Yes, it was on Prime for a while.
I just trying to figure out where we can point to people where they can find your stuff. You can't find your stuff anywhere.
You can't find.
You don't put it out there
until they make some more DVDs.
Literally, you cannot find our stuff anywhere. We sold out of all the DVDs. There are no more Blu-rays. There are no more DVDs. YouTube terminated my channel, so you can't even see any of the free stuff that I had posted on there. And I'm too lazy to go back and add a whole bunch of that stuff to YouTube again. So no, you can't find it that I'm aware of unless you torrent it somewhere.
Cool. So I'm going to wrap this up, but Matt will be back because Matt is he doesn't put titles on anything, but he is technically the festival director for Prairie Lights. So
I do nothing.
He does not put titles. He does not put titles on.
He shows up.
I threw that title out there, so that's on me. But I want to bring it back because I want to talk about the actual Prairie Lights.
You want me to drop some hot news?
I don't want you to drop hot news. You can't. That's up to you if you want to drop hot news. That's on you. But I do want to talk about the actual festival itself.
Is that going to be its own podcast? Because Patrick's going to be he's going to cut this all out because there's too much Matt.
That's fine. It will be on. It'll be on the Prairie Lights podcast. Obviously, we'll do another segment and not talk about your actual fucking movies, but talk about the festival, which is all I really want to talk about anyway. So. I don't want to talk about your movies.
Yeah, this was all tangent, actually.
This is all filler.
Like 5 different tangents.
We're actually just killing time because we want to talk to the real people and we're just bored down here.
We need a podcast this week. So you were down here.
The fun people left, so you guys are in the room.
Right. Now, Josh, you're going to be helping out with auditions. I do want to say, and Patrick, please leave this in. Josh is going to audition for me tonight.
I signed up. Whether or not I show up,
have you ever actually auditioned for anything for me before?
I don't act. So this is going to go really well.
Okay,
that's why I signed up.
This neither do I.
I'm very excited. I think Greg should show up and audition.
Yeah,
I think Patrick should show up.
About that.
Let's do it.
It was just really a way for me to actually get into the audition room to watch the auditions when I probably could have just asked, do you mind if I watch the auditions? That would have been a lot easier to do.
No, it's just taking steps with that. It's doing the audition, reading it in front of people. Because, I'll go to a set and I could have read you every single line. But when you're put into the scene where you have to react to everyone, the camera's on you and it's action. And you're just thinking, I just need to get through the lines.
Right.
And I've gotten plenty of pointers from Matt and Mark and those guys. And they've helped immensely, actually.
Yeah. I like to
we almost had this section wrapped, too.
Yeah. I really think it's important that directors, do their job, and it's direct people. You know, you see somebody struggling or not putting their best performance that you know they have in them forward, it's your job as a director. It's your responsibility to put them in that best position to succeed.
Right.
And if you are a director that's seeing something and like, this ain't going to work. Mm-hmm. You know, we had an issue on one of our sets where one of the actors it just wasn't working. Was not working at all. And I had to completely change how I approached it. And I had to take this person aside afterwards. I'm like, I apologize if this was embarrassing. Because basically what happened was like, you're not going to interact with the other person. You're going to do this. Camera's just on you. I want you to read this line 3 times, 3 different ways. And this person started reading it, bum, 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 bum. And then I always ask, how do you feel about that? If they're like, well, I don't like it. I didn't like it either. Let's do it again. Boom, 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 boom. How'd you feel about that? I liked it. I did too, but it can be better. Let's do it again. Boom, 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 boom. How'd you feel that? Boom, you nailed it. You got it. Now, it's always important for a director, you know, and in this particular case, I took this person aside. I was like, I did not mean to sort of, you know, put you in a weird spot.
Right.
But I had to do this to get, because everybody's there. Everybody's watching. It's like, why are you treating this person differently than all the other actors?
Right.
And I told this person, this is why I did it. There's no hard feelings or anything, but I know you're going to like the performance. And then this person told me at the wrap party that when they left, they felt awful. They said, yeah, well, thank you, Matt, you know, blah, blah, blah. But they're like, I felt awful on the ride back. He's like, it just didn't, you know, I was like, I fucked it all up. I fucked it all up. And then he's like, the thing that I appreciated was 2 weeks later, you sent me a rough cut of that scene. And you put the message in Facebook saying, see, this is why I did what I did. Take a look. What do you think? And he's like, I looked at it and I was like, wow, I did not fuck this up like I thought. Right. And that influenced what he did for the next role. And he fucking nailed that next role. Why? Because the building blocks were put in place on the previous film.
Right.
So that they have a way, it's all about sort of getting to that person, finding out what works for them, and then sort of setting them on the path, on the correct path. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that's what I like to do with actors. And sometimes it can be uncomfortable and weird. And you just sort of have to be like, hey, you trust me, right? You trust me? And like, well, yes, you got to trust me now. You got to trust me now. Just like I trust Josh and Greg and Patrick to make me sound amazing on this podcast and not a total like weirdo, quasi-egotistical asshole. I mean, I trust that you guys will make me sound
He's
great.
cutting out all your owns.
Yeah.
So.
Right. That's true. I feel like I haven't said that.
I haven't heard
No,
it.
you
I've been
haven't
kind of
actually,
listening
no.
for
There
him.
have been a few. There have been a few, but I feel like Patrick should just let them be because I did my best.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
There you go.
They've been intentional with this too.
Well, we're going to take a break. But we'll be back with Matt.
Oh, wait a minute. I forgot one more. I'm just
Nope.
kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
All right, we're going to take a break. Hey, welcome back to the Prairie Lights podcast. We're back here with Matt Kister. Mark Popejoy is hanging out with us. Clint Beaver is here. We got Patrick. Greg is missing.
Yeah, we don't know where the hell he is. He's like MIA.
But we do have a kind of a stacked group here, so that's fun. We're going to talk about Bed and Breakfast. Matt played on Friday night. We are just going to talk about real quick just how it all came together. Now that Mark's going to join us, he can talk a little bit about all the stuff he did and talk about Bed and Breakfast.
I did nothing.
Matt, go.
Bed and Breakfast was an homage to Hellraiser. Story by Clive Barker. No, I'm just kidding.
That one's for you, Maddie.
Yes. I had watched a Nudie Cutie by Harrison Marks from, I believe, 1958, starring classic pinup icon June Palmer. And it's called Nightmare on Elm Manor, and you can watch it on YouTube, free. And I had watched it and thought it was a really cool concept that could be improved. And I wrote a script for it, thinking it will never get filmed. And then the guy across the table got all the resources together. His name was Clint Beaver. He was amazing at securing everything. Now, Mark Popejoy
I do what I
was
can.
able to secure a location for us and take it away, Mark. I'm tired. Go ahead.
This is such a way to end this podcast.
This
is all the energy in the room right now.
This is funny because I did like this amazingly epic 1 hour interview yesterday.
Yep.
It was cool. It was probably one of the coolest interviews I feel I've ever been able to do.
It was really good.
It's all gone. And now I'm running on 27 hours now with no sleep. And Josh is like, come in, we want to talk to you. So I'm tired. I apologize for being cranky.
So my name is I'll just bring myself in.
Hellraiser is a good movie, by the way.
Matt came to me with a script called Bed and Breakfast 2, maybe 3 years ago, and said, we'll never find an actress to do this, but even more importantly, we'll never find a location, even if we do find an actress. So I was on the search for quite a while. I got put on the back burner while we filmed some other stuff,
right?
Chills Down Your Spine and Robo Mummy and those kind of things. And I was on the hunt for this because he told me we will never be able to make this.
Yeah. Challenge accepted.
Yeah. Tell me we're not going to make something. So not only was it a challenge to find a location, but I knew that once I found a location, everything I was looking at was pretty expensive.
Yeah.
I started in Omaha and I spread it out into Nebraska, and I had gone to Crypticon the year before.
Yeah.
And it was moved to St. Joe. And driving through there, when I was looking for hotels, there were several bed and breakfasts in St. Joe, Missouri that were 18th century Victorian, incredible woodwork. And so I started contacting the different bed and breakfasts in St. Joe, Missouri. And the first couple I contacted were like, I don't think this is your kind of place. Meaning, we're not interested in your nudie cutie, horror film.
Right.
We're too ritzy for that.
Yeah.
But the one gentleman at the Whiskey Manor who I contacted, he was up for it. He was like, absolutely. Did you know that Vampires Against Bonnie and Clyde was filmed here? And I was like, no, I had no idea. I know nothing about it. But it's a film that they had a fairly bigger budget than ours,
right?
They had a bigger crew than ours, and they had Tiffany Shepis, and so he was down with the idea. He gave me his rates. I said, okay.
Didn't you say yesterday, Matt, that guy, though, to this day, you don't think he knows what you guys actually shot in that house?
I said a lot of things yesterday.
Yeah. And there's a weird girl that lived upstairs that would never come out.
Well, the thing about the gal upstairs was she was basically the housekeeper and the caretaker of the place when the owner wasn't there, because the owner owned and operated a food catering business that he was running out of the kitchen there. As they were opening up a brick and mortar location in town.
Gotcha.
So that was the story. And he said that don't worry about her. And I even talked to her.
Don't worry about her.
She was super cool with everything. She's like, I told her what we were doing. And she's like, none of my business. It's all good with me. You're not going to bother me. And you just don't go up my set of stairs.
Right.
Because it was the very last set of stairs in the house. And I came to Matt and I said, I got the location. Benito Garcia said, I got the actress. So here we are. I had to come up with the finances at that point. So we had the location. They said, this is what it's going to cost. We had the actress. She told us what she wanted.
Right.
Then we had to find a British butler.
You guys had a staircase. So
we had an amazing staircase, right? There was a couple auditions for the butler position. One came out of South Dakota. He was an actual Englishman.
Mm-hmm.
But prior to that, I had worked with a gentleman named Simon on a project here in town, and he is from Britain, and he'd been living here for 13 to 18 years or something like that. And I called him up. I said, I got a role for you. And he said, perfect. Sent him the script, and he was on board.
Yeah, Simon was really good.
And we had everything we needed. He got the funding together. It was pretty substantial to shoot that short. And, for a weekend short, it was pretty substantial just because the rent, catering, outside things that happened that you never would have seen coming, in a million years. So lo and behold, we contacted Mark Timian because we knew that he has mad skills with lighting,
right,
and working with that type of media, and we know that he's not afraid to explore. And Matt had some ideas that we wanted to kind of Suspiria-ish, but better,
right?
Because personally, nothing against Suspiria, but I think it's overrated. But we went for it, and it came out, whether you like it or hate it, we actually love how it came out. We were super proud of what we did down there in the 2 days that we spent down there. Just super happy with it.
Mark just covered everything in 10 minutes that you covered in like an hour yesterday.
Fuck you, Josh.
I know. The thing that we talked about yesterday.
Damn it, Josh.
You asked
Matt
Matt one question, and he goes on for 45 minutes.
Yeah,
and that was the thing.
Now ask your questions.
Should I leave?
So,
I can totally leave.
No, stay.
Jerks.
Well, he covered everything, so now I'm trying to come up with a fucking question.
That's why you need to be a professional. You have to have questions out there.
I had the questions out there yesterday.
Sorry for being so thorough.
We lost that interview.
I've been QAing all these filmmakers all weekend, so it's like just that it just has comes to me what somebody might ask.
Gary and Patrick, jump in.
It is real Hellraiser-ish. But not
a little different than Hellraiser.
When she pulls off all of her skin and is like rolling around on the bed, and she's like, I'm in hell.
I need flesh. Bring me another victim.
That's actually Hellraiser too.
If you can just touch on some of the success of the festival circuit that this bed and breakfast has been having.
Yeah, we've
it's gonna get cut out.
We've sent it to some festivals, and it's been accepted, and that's cool.
Yeah, it got accepted into the Texas Frightmare, didn't it? For part of this? No, which
not
one
at
was
all.
it? Okay, so there's another festival convention.
I honestly don't even remember the names of the festivals.
It was Las Vegas.
Reels of the Dead, I think that was one.
It got accepted into Las Vegas. Matt has submitted to several festivals. I've submitted to several festivals. The most recent one, it didn't get put in the program, but it was a finalist. So it was called Boobs and Blood, and it was an international film festival in LA.
Strangely enough, that had both in their movie.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little
that
more
just
boobs
that just
and
means
blood.
we needed more nudity in it. So the first 3 minutes, she should have just answered the door completely naked. And Simon should have been completely naked.
Needed more.
And we should have just spilled blood all over the place, like The Shining or something.
You guys have brought home some awards and stuff too from those festivals, haven't you? Not just for bed and breakfast, but you guys brought home an award for this really awesome movie I love called Isabel.
I will.
The Eyes of Isabel. You guys won some stuff for that too, right?
Yeah, some of us still need to see that, by the way.
Well, you're not going to see it now, thanks to Josh. No.
Josh, what the hell did you do?
If you want to know, if you must know, I submitted Eyes of Isabel to several film festivals too. One being Crypticon Convention. It is sponsored by Fangoria now, and they have a new sponsor for their film festival. It was Great North Releasing or something like that. Yeah. And they had several categories. So I submitted Bed and Breakfast, and I submitted Eyes of Isabel. And supposedly we won. The submission I submitted, Eyes of Isabel, was for the goriest feature film.
Right.
Nice. It would deserve that, yeah.
And it won that category. And part of the thing, and I'm going to be honest as I can right now and right here on this podcast, because part of the thing was if you were a winner for that festival for your film, you were supposed to have a sit down with the distribution company, and that never happened. Mm-hmm. They never contacted me. I sent them an email. I made a phone call, and they never replied. Great North Releasing.
That's cold.
What Mark doesn't know
those people.
is I told them ahead of time I was not going to allow them to have it. No, I'm just kidding.
And that's cool if that happened, but I just thought it was very unprofessional that they said that I was guaranteed a sit down for winning the category. And I had a conversation with a rep that was there, and they said they would get a hold of me. I contacted the director of the convention, and he said, "Oh yeah, well, he's a friend of mine, and well, everybody else got a deal, and it's going to be released by Halloween."
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That we were never contacted.
Sunday morning on this podcast.
Well, Bed and Breakfast is going to be
I'm a little bitter about it, to be honest.
Chills Down Your Spine,
seems like
which is
you're a little
coming
bitter.
out.
I'll lighten up now.
Probably later next year.
Hopefully.
Yeah, later next year, Chills Down Your Spine, Mark, will come out.
What do you want to know?
Nobody listens to Josh.
Chills down your. I was still in
That's
it,
all right.
trying
That's
to
all right.
gain.
He's right. Nobody does listen to me.
I was trying to get my conscience back and lighten up the subject. Just being bitter from the whole.
No, Chills Down Your Spine, though, is going to hopefully come out next year, right?
Chills should be done probably by spring if we work at it.
Yeah, and then you guys are starting up.
No,
The
not
new one next year?
not right away. I mean, we still are working on Return of the Robo Mummy from Outer Space.
Gotcha.
We want to keep moving forward on
7.
that. Yes, part 7. So, but in the process, we are going to be working on pre-production and scheduling and financing and all that stuff. We would ideally like to start filming April, May.
Yeah.
You know, to get something shot
Right.
for the new one. Ideally, we like to block out like a 10-day and do like 4 or 5 short films in that time period, depending on how Matt schedules it and what it looks like on paper, because sometimes that doesn't happen.
What's the name of the new one? What's the name of it, Mark?
Yeah, Mark, what's the name of that one?
What's the name of the new one, Mark?
Come on, Mark.
Promo, come on. Pimp this shit. What's the name of the new one, Mark?
What's the name of the new one, Mark?
What is it called?
What's it called, Mark?
It's called Tearing Out Your Spine.
Tremors down your thigh.
Shivers in my loins.
And this is a horror?
Let's just
It's called bacon strips, actually.
let's just switch over here really quick because I know Matt's got to go here soon. Let's just talk about the Prairie Lights Film Festival, the last 7 years of the Prairie Lights Film Festival, and then you have an announcement to make, right here on the podcast. You heard it first here on the podcast, right? Even though probably I think 90% of the people out there already know anyway.
But in fact, this won't be edited for about a week, and a lot of people will hear it well before they hear
by
it from
tonight.
here.
Yeah, they'll hear it by tonight.
Yeah.
But who cares? You just say it here anyway. Just shout about the festival and just I guess what the festival has meant to you the last 7 years, and stuff and things.
Let's start all the way back in 2000. No, I'm just kidding.
And when I was 9 years old.
Did you see Patrick roll his eyes right there?
Yeah.
He was just like,
Yeah,
man,
it's like, oh my god.
I heard him roll.
Matt's going to have to say he digresses.
This is going to be very short and sweet because I'm tired and I'm pissed off and I just want to go to sleep, actually.
Right. I'm glad we caught you on a good day.
Yeah, well, you caught me on a great day yesterday.
I know, right?
You may be able to go back and use
What's
some
your
of that
question?
extra footage.
What's your question?
Jesus Christ.
You want me to start?
Specific question. Give me a specific question.
Do you want
Not
me to
some
start?
Big jump. No, I don't. I want him to give me a specific question.
I just, Matt and Greg and Patrick dig me out of this hole here. It's going to be awesome.
Quickly talk about your experience in the past 7 years, the successes, the failures, and then your announcement, I think, would probably suffice.
Yeah. And then edit out the bullshit that I just said. Because
You can handle that question.
You want me to handle that?
Yeah.
But Mark wasn't
I can't go over like the whole 7 years and success. Okay, Prairie Lights Film Festival. It was I'm just too tired. It was a fantastic time. We helped a lot of people
grow their passion.
Yeah, I have no brain power for this right now, guys. Go ahead, Mark. You can take it over.
I'll just speak freely for Matt.
Speak for me, because I want to sleep.
The festival, as many know, was based on the idea that it was for Nebraskans, for the filmmakers, for the actors, for the writers. And Matt wanted to provide a place, and Jim Pohl and the Grand Theater.
Yeah.
It was Matt and Jim's baby, and they wanted to provide a place for Nebraska filmmakers to showcase their work where normally they wouldn't get showcased, right? I mean, let's face it, festivals are expensive.
Right.
And the whole idea behind it was let's allow them a place at no cost and keep the cost very minimal and have this beautiful venue and bring people in to get together and, for lack of better terms, to work together and become a bigger community and just mingle and get to know each other and help each other out and share the passion, right?
Right.
So over the course of the 7 years, it's been wonderful. We've seen people grow as filmmakers that were just starting out. We've seen people who had never made a film before say to themselves, wow, like if that guy can do it, I can do it. I want to do that.
Yeah.
And then you network. That's what it was for. That's the word I was looking for. Then you network with like-minded people, and now we have people that have never made films, have now made several films. This weekend, a perfect example. Chokes me up.
Right.
Because Katie Waite started writing at 11 and 15 years old.
Yep.
She asked her friends to help her make a movie, and we helped her make a movie.
She killed it.
She was not only the youngest filmmaker this weekend, but she was the only filmmaker in that panel that was a female.
Right.
At the age of 15.
Yep.
So, I mean, I'm not going to lie, man. It chokes me up.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm super tired.
Yeah.
So, probably.
You guys have no idea how tired we are.
Probably.
Like, this is
probably a little more emotional because I'm super tired.
We probably
but
should have went to sleep.
It's still very heartfelt, and I mean every bit of it when I say that this festival has brought a lot of people together and built a lot of friendships, and it's been absolutely wonderful.
Right.
With that being said,
we just say
I'm
the
gonna
big news.
Turn it back over to Matt.
Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
Because I think that I've shared what him and Jim's vision was, what it's done
much
for
better than I could have. Maybe yesterday I could have really made something awesome, but not
it would have been the best interview ever yesterday.
It was. The big announcement is that this was the last year of the Prairie Lights Film Festival. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people disappointed. The man across from the table from me is disappointed, as you could probably clearly hear in his voice, as well as everybody else at this table.
Right.
And I don't need to go into every reason as to sort of my thinking as to why it needs to be ended. However, the one thing I do want to make clear is this is my decision. The thing is, I just don't want to do it anymore. There's no what's the word I'm looking for? Like,
animosity.
Yeah, there's no animosity. Yeah. It has nothing to do with, people aren't coming. It has nothing to do with that. I think our numbers now this year are up from last year. It has nothing to do with any of that stuff. The only reason is because I just don't want to do it anymore. It's been 7 years. It's a lot of hard work, dedication. I'm very proud of what it was able to accomplish. But, it's 7 years. Nothing lasts forever. We're not going to do this forever. It was always going to end at some point in time. And for the past, this past year has been really trying just in terms of, putting the festival together and putting it on. And, for a couple years, I had been thinking about doing this. And this year kind of was the final straw on the camel's back. And I was like, I have so much stuff going on. Jim has so much stuff going on. It's just not something I want to keep doing. So that's the reason why it's ending. And I don't know.
I guess if there are people listening out there in the world that want to start their own festival, what advice would you give those people to start up their own thing?
Just go do it. It's the same thing you do when you make a movie, right?
Right.
I want to make a movie. What do we tell all the filmmakers here who have been inspired and have made their own movies? We get up on that stage every single year and we say, just go make a movie. Pick up a camera and go make a movie.
Right.
There's no difference for the film festival. Go contact a theater. Say, hey, we have this idea. Get some people together that can help you out. Put it together yourself. I mean, that's all you do. I mean, it's phone calls. It's deciding, hey, I want to do this year-long full-time job, and I feel it's, a passion of mine, and this is what I want to do. It's no longer a passion for me.
Right.
people's lives move on, and my life has kind of moved on from it. But I 1,000% encourage anybody out there listening, go start a film festival. It's not hard. I mean, if I can do it, anybody can do it. So, it's just a lot of work and time and dedication that you're going to have to be willing to put in for it. So, yeah, just go contact a theater and say, hey, I have an idea. Can we screen some films? And they'll probably say yes. If they say no, go contact a different theater and ask them until you find someone who will actually do it. And that's all you need.
I think you said the biggest thing, which has kind of been like the theme of the last 7 years, was just go pick up a camera and do it.
Just do it.
Every year, like you said, we've told filmmakers just that have asked, how do we get started? Go pick up a camera. Mark said it this year. Go pick up a camera, get your friends together, and just go out.
My proudest moment at Prairie Lights is Tom Lombard, right? I mean, I don't know. He's in his upper 60s, I believe. And one year he came and he's like, this is amazing. I've always wanted to make a movie, and it's been a dream, and I never did it. Can I make a movie for next year's Prairie Lights? And I was like, absolutely. He's like, would you screen it? I'm like, absolutely.
Submit it.
And what did he do? He went out there and he made a movie, and he was incredibly proud and happy about it. And he's continued to make movies since then. He's become a local filmmaker that's, always putting out new content. That's what Prairie Lights was all about. It's, the growing of the community and all of that stuff. That's all part of it, but getting people to just do what they've always dreamed of doing. It doesn't matter if it sucks. It doesn't matter if it's great. It's just the fact that you did it, right? You're not sitting on your couch wishing that you could make a movie. You went out and you did something creative. Creativity is what makes human beings interesting and unique in the first place, because we're always dreaming, we're always creating, we're always making these things. And no, they don't always have to be great. Prairie Lights was fantastic. The filmmakers were fantastic. We showed hundreds of films, interviewed dozens of filmmakers. Lots of people made lifelong friends, networking. It's been fantastic. And I hope there's somebody out there that decides, hey, I want to pick up this baton, keep it going. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, But find a way to get your films seen and do it. Pick up your camera, pick up a phone, figure out what you want to do, and make it happen.
See, that was a good answer. You weren't that fucking tired.
Wow.
Do we have anything else, guys, to go over, to talk to them about? Okay, well, then you got anything?
No, I was gonna say I think all that needs to be said has been said.
Cool. We'll be back to wrap this thing up.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back here at the Midnight Fright Cast. We are getting ready to wrap things up, but we wanted to do something a little special since this is the last edition, the last rendition, the last whatever you want to call it.
The last podcast.
Hint. Of the Prairie Lights Film Festival. And going back in the years that we've been doing this, we've never talked about our own stuff, which kudos to us for not shamelessly plugging.
We stroked our own ego.
Yeah, we've danced around it, but we've never talked.
We've never sat down and actually talked about it, and so we're gonna rocket that out right here, right now. I don't know why I said rocket. That's weird.
We're gonna stroke our ego and rocket.
Red rocket.
Cool.
Nope.
We're gonna red rocket all over.
So
the place.
let's jump into our first short, Twisted Sisters. Let's talk a little bit about that. So Patrick, as the aforementioned director of Twisted Sisters, what were your thoughts, or kind of what was going through your mind when some douche named me gave you a script with some guy ripping his dick off?
Yeah, how we're gonna pull it off without offending someone? But then I stepped back from that and said, I've seen worse.
I will say really
Prairie
quick
Lights.
that when we were deciding who was going to direct Twisted Sisters,
I think it was me finally saying, "All right, I'll do it."
Yeah, like nobody's hand
went
and
up at
Patrick
all.
was like, "God damn it!"
And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, I'll take up that gauntlet." So, I mean, and then by the time I had committed to it, I mean, two of the parts had already been cast with Roxy Rowan and Aaron Fromm.
Yep.
So then we just had to find that right person for the third part, which to me was probably the most challenging because of what it demanded of that actor.
Right.
I mean, we had to have someone that was willing to step in, be half naked and strapped to make it look like his dick strapped to a machine.
Right.
And I'm just glad that we ended up with, we had a few auditions, not as many as I would have liked to have seen, but when Brandon showed up with his audition, it just really fit well.
Yeah. So I put it out on the message boards that we were looking for somebody, and it was really awkward because you have to put it out. Doing this thing, there's male nudity involved.
Right.
And then got a dumbass amount of messages sent to me about, hey, I'm interested in this part. And then having to send the message back, well, and the people asking about the nudity, and then being like, well, there's not really nudity. It's just like you won't see anything. And then out of probably 12, 13, 14 messages I got, we got, I think, 3 auditions sent.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah.
I didn't realize we had that many people.
Yeah, I had a ton of people reach out and say, oh, I'm interested in this. I want to do this. Please send me the script.
When you told them that they wouldn't actually be showing their dangle on screen, they backed off.
I don't know. I don't know if that was it or just or what it was. But you challenge people. You go, okay, yep, awesome, cool. I'll send you the side and read it, and then everybody wants to do something until they go, oh well, maybe I don't want to do it.
Right.
So.
And then we also had the locations settled on it. So actually, this is probably one of the easier shoots that we've gone into when it comes to preparation for it. Because we shot it in 2 weekends, 1 weekend in the basement, 1 weekend in the upstairs interior. And that all went pretty well, I think. Yeah, we still have some time management issues that we have to take care of. I think that's a common problem for most filmmakers. But other than that, I thought the shoots went really well. Our actors just did a splendid job on it. And once again, major kudos to Brandon for stepping up and never really questioning what we were doing. I always let him know that if he felt too uncomfortable for what I was asking him to do, just to let me know. He never said a word about it, jumped in head first and, wiggled around as much as he wanted to. He was adding things that we weren't thinking of, and it was just a good time.
Yeah, he went
for that one.
Everything.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And this was his first film that he did. So he came out and he swung for the fences and he
came out.
it.
He came out here to Prairie Lights to see it, and he said that he was actually pretty impressed because he just didn't know what it was going to be, and what it was going to end up looking like. So I now have to get some digital files out to the actors so they've got it so they can share it to the world, and we'll be posting it on our YouTube channel as well.
I don't know if we're going to get away with posting that one on our YouTube channel because of the end of that one. I don't know the YouTube violation things that happen. And the end of it may violate those.
If
YouTube.
it does, they would most likely send us a warning first.
Gotcha.
I don't think they would just shut us.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. So.
Right. I mean, we've heard stories of somebody else being shut down, but that's because there was a ginormous amount of breasts all over the place for almost every single movie. So this is a case of where it just happens towards the end, and
that is true.
And if it's marked as adult content as well, I mean,
it's calling it what it is.
Exactly. Exactly. So I'm not too worried about it.
Gotcha.
I think we probably stand more chance of getting smacked for copyright or something like that.
Sure.
I mean, because that's what they're looking for more than anything else, is if we're using music that we shouldn't be using, and in this case, we're not. So but yeah, that was a lot of fun. I thought it came together pretty well.
So talk about a little bit about your creative process. Like, as the director, you're reading this script with some definite challenges, more so than we've ever filmed before. What kind of things did you go through, and how did you execute them?
I come from an art and a theater background, so I have degrees in both. And so when I'm thinking of how to put this film together, and you guys know this with me, I storyboard everything that I do because I have to have that image in my head as we're moving forward.
Absolutely.
And so that's how I approach it. I look at it from the aspect of setting up the shot specifically the way that I want it, filling the focal points the way that I want it, using 4 focal points within the frame. I do not have a film background, so everything I see on the screen I think of in terms of kinetic sculpture and how to set up the picture within that frame so it is either 1, pleasing or 2, displeasing. And you can set it up to be either way. And that's pretty much how I approach it. And then I think about what the tone of the story is as I'm going into it. And with this one, I knew I wanted to somehow mix in just a little bit of lightheartedness because of how dark it gets at the very end. And I don't know that I injected as much of that as the cast themselves did. I mean, I think we had the idea of the popcorn and the pop moving into shooting, but some of the stuff that Brandon was doing was completely on his own.
Yeah, I mean, and Aaron, eating the popcorn without using their hands, and the faces they were making when they're drinking out of the
soda bottles.
Cups. Yeah. That was all, as far as I know, all accurate choices. Yeah. So the casting was like a huge part of that film. I was just finding the right people to.
And I truly believe this is probably some of the best stuff that I've seen Roxy and Aaron do. It really helped just to be able to sit down and just chat with them while we were doing it. While you guys were prepping camera and lights and everything else, just to run through it so many times, and me just being able to talk to them and just really getting into that point where it was a very natural conversation with it. And Brandon, that just came very naturally to him. Because sometimes people want to act once they get in front of the camera, and he didn't. He just stepped forward, and he was very natural.
Right. And I don't know if you want to give the end away or not, but
I think we already have.
Did we give the end away?
I think I said it earlier. So
yeah. Well, I mean,
spoiler alert.
Big special thanks to Heather for the prosthetic. Heather made that prosthetic for a Dead Lantern film. It was like a scarecrow film. They had made a lost scarecrow film. They had made. And she had made that prosthetic for somebody else, and I don't think it ever got used. So I know she talked about it for a while. She's like, I got this fake penis just sitting around my house, and nobody's ever used it. And we were like, well, I mean, you got to put that on screen. So hence Twisted Sisters. But I mean, we used it in, I think, the best way possible. And it got the reaction, I think, that we were looking for.
I think the film overall, not just the payoff in the end, but I think the film overall was received really well.
Yeah.
I was nervous about it because it's not something that they've seen here before. But just listening and watching the reactions as they were happening, I was just really pleased with how it turned out.
It was fun. So it was bloody and it's a good time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Where are we going to put? We said Twisted Sisters is going to end up on YouTube.
YouTube, yeah.
You'll find it on probably our Facebook page or whatever.
Well, the Facebook page would link to the YouTube thing, and same thing with our website.
Okay,
cool.
So let's move over to our second feature that we had. Excuse me, not feature. Wow, second film.
Was not a feature.
That was definitely not a feature.
It was barely a short
compared to what it started off as. It was pretty much a feature.
Right.
Dinner Date was just kind of give a little backstory. We had shot a 15-second short for a contest.
5 second.
Was it? No, it was
15.
Was it 15?
Yeah, 5 second wouldn't have been.
Oh, you're absolutely right. 15 seconds.
So we shot this. Yeah, we shot 15-second short film for a contest, and Josh has been kind of working on it for the last couple of years. And
no, not really the last couple of years.
No,
not really. We needed. I guess you're kind of right, though. I guess, Greg, it's been tossed around for the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, not like sitting there every night writing on
it.
But
I hope not. Not on that.
It's been one of those never-ending projects. It's just been kind of under our belt, and we've been kicking it back and forth around. And we finally decided to pull the trigger because we had a location who was willing to let us hack some lady's leg off and bleed all over my carpet. And
Yeah. Well, so the 15-second short was literally just the end of
what this was.
Sure. Yeah. It was just her on the table and him eating at the end of the table. And that was it. 15 seconds. And the deal was like, there was an idea.
Who was the brilliant actress in that 15-second short?
I don't remember her name. I don't. Some lady.
She's sitting here giving us the
I think I found her. I think I found her.
Someone's giving her husband the stink eye.
I think I found her on Facebook, and I was like, "She'll do." I sent her a message. I was like, "Hey, would you mind laying on a table?" It was kind of like having a first date with somebody. It was inviting them into my home and saying, "Hey, would you mind laying on this table? And can I cut your leg off?" And she was like, "Yeah, I'm not doing anything Saturday. Let's do it." So, and then, oddly enough, we made that 3 years ago, maybe.
Oh, so something like that. Yeah.
Weirdly enough, now I've been married for the last 3 years because I married that lady. So, no, that my wife did that 15-second short with us. It was my Elizabeth, my wife, and Tom Crew was the guy at the end of the table. Popejoy behind me here did the short
I bugged him pretty much until he was just like, all right, if you fucking leave me alone, I'll do it. And then we had Kat. We had Kat
Walsh.
Kat Walsh, yep.
Who we met last year at Prairie Lights, who did another short, who we thought was really great. But yeah, the 15-second short, I was just like, there's more to this story if we wanted there to be.
Right.
So it was just trying to figure out what could happen leading up to getting the girl on the table. And I don't know, like, it started out as a weird, like, underground, like, we met on this weird underground website for people, I guess, that just want to eat people. And, but the script kind of, the script developed into just something that was just kind of like, I need to put a story in front of this ending story. So, but I mean, it was fun. It was a good time.
However, what you saw on the screen that showed here was not what you thought you were going to see.
That was the cut I had never seen before.
Yeah.
That was the cut that was a cut.
I had made a final cut to the short, and I swear to God, I thought I posted it in the messenger group to Greg and Josh for final approval, and I hadn't heard anything back, so I assumed, okay, it's good, ready to go. So I made the DCP, sent it off to Jim, and then it showed, and I'm sitting there looking at Josh, and he's got this look on his face, and I'm like, "Oh shit, what?" You know? And he goes, "That was a lot shorter than I remember, or something like that." And
standing next to Matt while
and then Mark had made a comment about it during the Q&A as well.
Standing next to Matt while it was playing, and one part went to another part with this big like kind of fade to black, and then it brought back up, and I was like, "There's a giant chunk of dialogue missing right there." And then I was talking to Matt during that, and then the end came, and the shot that we had one way was then reversed, and then I was just like, "What fucking happened to this DCP?" Yeah. Like,
so if you attended Prairie Lights Film Festival, you saw a version of the film that probably nobody will ever see again, because when we go to post it live on YouTube and the website, it's going to be the cut prior to that one.
So
yeah,
I mean, but it was what it was. Like, honestly, you know, Matt had talked to me about putting in Before the Compound for this festival, and I feel like knowing what the festival was going to be this year, that's the one I wish I would have played anyway. And I say that because 7 years ago, we played Remission here. Yeah. And then a few years after that, Matt played a film called Beneath the Compound. And so if I would have thrown in Before the Compound this year, it kind of would have been like a full circle thing. So now I'm kicking myself for not doing that.
And he said he could have fit it in as well.
He could have.
We could have done all of them.
So it would have been a kind of a cool full circle thing, beginning to end. But you know, Dinner Date was a fun project. So, and it's one of those things that, like, kind of like another project that haunts me, that Greg doesn't let me say the word anymore.
I kind of have to, because it's my wife's name.
That is true. That is true. But Dinner Date was one of those projects also that was like, I hounded it, and I hounded it, and I hounded it, and it was just kind of like, all right, if I let you write it and just do it, will you shut the fuck up and leave me alone? And that's just kind of what I do now.
Josh has this uncanny ability to hold on to things and beat the horse until it's long past dead.
Yep. So Emily prequel and Emily sequel will be coming. I've said it now, so finish that shit so we can do it. But yeah, projects that we do are just, it's a fun fucking time.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
And bringing them here was a fun fucking time.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
we had good times.
I give you shit about a lot of those, but ultimately, if it gets us to get us behind the camera and to working with people and bringing it to places like this, it makes it all worth it, even if it is Emily 16. No.
Emily 16.
No.
Writing it down. Do we have that many stories?
No.
What can we do with Emily this week?
Can we at least get Emily to, like, you know, consensual age, like Emily 18?
Emily 18.
Why? What do you want to do with her ghost?
I'm just tossing out ideas.
I'm not sure I'm allowed to make that movie, to be honest with you. So,
Emily X.
But
Emily retires.
Emily retires. But yeah, so it was fun.
Good.
We had great times here.
Good.
So
just kind of segueing into the the last little leg of this. What are we feeling about Prairie Lights this year?
Real quick before we do that,
we're not done yet.
What do we have coming up here? What do we? What's on our plate?
We got a plug.
We talk to everybody else about what's on their plate. What's on our goddamn plate?
I'm sorry. I'm trying to get all this down, and I'm used to listening to other people talk.
Right. And we ask ourselves, what do we have on our plate, and then we answer, well, we can't really talk about it.
Right.
No, what do we have on our plate?
So yeah, we can't talk about it.
Well, in 2 weeks.
Silence. Yeah. Josh and I are getting ready to do a short film here coming up on the 27th of October. I don't know if we want to give away a little bit about it. We could give away the working title is the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Serial Killer.
Something like that, yeah.
Is the working title. That's not what it's going to be, but we're working on that. I know, Patrick, you've got a couple things in the works going on here.
I do, but they're not Midnight Frights related at this point.
Then we can't talk to you.
Well,
for Christ's sake, say it anyway. Or can you not because the filmmakers won't let you say it?
Well, I don't know. I'm just being careful with it.
Gotcha.
I'm working on one of them. I mean, I will support you guys with the Hitchhiker thing as much as I can, but I know that our first shoot weekend is the same as the shoot weekend for Hitchhiker.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So it's going to be a little difficult for that. So I'm involved as an actor and an AD on that project, but that's going to be over the course of several months, not like every weekend or anything like that. Right. So, working with you guys is still, I'm doing that as much as possible because that's my first commitment. And then Popejoy's got me. We're going to be talking about working on a project that he's passionate about, and I'm not going to talk much about that because I'm sure he wants that to be kind of a pleasant surprise coming from his thing as well.
Right.
So.
Cool. And then there's this little feature on the table that we're kicking around right now that it's hopefully going to happen next year. We'll see. We talk about it in October and knowing it's 6 months down the road. Shit can change in 6 months.
So,
absolutely.
So like 5 months from now when we're going, oh shit, we haven't done anything in the past 5 months. We're going to really gear up to do this.
Right. So but it is, right now there's a tentative cast.
Yeah.
And we had a really great read through for it. And everybody in the cast was like, yeah, I'm in. And there's locations done. So like it's got some steps going for it, but it's, again, shit can crumble in 5 months.
It's very true, but it's more than we've done really in a long time, if not ever, at least since you had done Remission. We've kicked around ideas for features. We've tried writing ideas for features. And
we tried one and that failed miserably.
It kind of fell into the fire there, but we've got a solid script here. And like Josh said, we've got a cast that is interested, and we've got all the makings of something that could very well happen. So we're going to continue riding that pony until it crashes and burns, or until it turns into a beautiful unicorn.
If we get it done, we'll come out next October 11th, 12th, and 13th and stand outside the Grand Theater and be like, "Let us in,
play my film, damn it!"
We are constantly writing. Each and every one of us are always writing, so there may be a short that pops up here or there that we just try to throw in at the last minute, or when we know we have an available weekend that maybe Nebraska's losing a football game, we can shoot during that time.
Right, which would be really any weekend.
Yeah, we're shooting next weekend then? I think next weekend's the bye weekend.
I think so, yeah.
We could shoot.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
All right. Can I start the...
Please do.
All right. We are in the last leg here. This is the kind of the culmination of what's happening down here in Grand Island at the Grand Theater. Talk a little bit about your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions of the last couple of days.
I don't know if I can really do it without crying.
Hey, Mark did it. Man up.
I know. I'm not going to cry, though. Fuck that.
There's nothing wrong with crying. Real men cry.
I'll wait till I get in the car and make my wife watch me cry for an hour and a half. So.
Oh, that would be awkward.
Prairie Lights has been...
So it's just like after sex then,
it's just generally... Well, no, usually that's her crying, not me.
Well, that escalated quickly.
And if you think it's an hour and a half, then you narrow that shit down.
You got to take a weekend for that.
You got a minute and a half if you're lucky. Best minute and a half of your life, though. So the last...
She rolls her eyes.
Yeah, I know. She doesn't care anymore. The last 7 years have been pretty awesome here. So
So we made Tyler Schmidt and I made, and I wish she was out here. You know, I wish I would have been like, dude, you got to come out here this year.
Yeah. And I'm also wondering how many people would have come out knowing that it was the last one.
Right. But I also understand Matt not wanting to fucking fetch those emails that he's gonna get. And who wants those? I don't want them, and nobody else wants them, and he doesn't want them. So I understand him not saying anything to people just to get them out here. It's like if they were gonna come, they should come.
Exactly.
Whether it's ending or not.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, I mean, this has been a giant, like, big step in mine and our filmmaking journeys. You know, starting back in 2012.
That would be 7 years ago.
That'd be 7 years ago. I got to think about it. Math is not my strong suit.
Math is hard.
Math is hard. Said with Matt gave us a giant shot playing Remission out here, and my biggest, like, if I ever go back to memories in Prairie Lights, is the first year we played Remission. It was a 2 hour and like 10-minute cut, and it was a midnight slot.
showing.
It was the only year there was a midnight spot, and there was one person in the audience that maybe would have. I think they were still awake. But this thing ended at like 2 a.m, and there's people sleeping in the audience. And Tyler and I was like, this fucking movie is terrible. And people are sleeping. And Matt's like, no, it's because it started at midnight. And then he finally decided, like, that was a terrible idea to play. We were so excited for a midnight slot. And then it's like, midnight movie, that's awesome. And then it ended up really being not great. But Matt Matt gave, like, every, you know, not just myself and us and Tyler and people that we know, but everybody in Nebraska, a huge opportunity to go out and make something, whether it's super top notch or just, you know, amateur filmmaking. Everybody played here. Everybody that wanted to play here, Matt was like, this door's open. All you got to do is submit. And it's free, so you have no excuse to not submit and go make something. So big kudos to Matt for opening that door. Greg and Patrick, do your thing.
Greg, you were involved with this before I was, so maybe you should go next.
I mean, kind of yes, kind of no. My first year was the Prairie Lights 3, and that was the year that we had. So my emotions are getting the better of me. Wow, that was a surprise. Didn't see that one coming. We had submitted Emily, so. Your first year,
so my first year was your first year.
My first year.
Interesting. But you had been working with Midnight Frights prior to that, though.
A little bit. I've been working with Josh longer than I care to think about. And we've done some projects, but it was really just the kind of the kickstart of, hey, we're movie makers. We're going to make a movie. We're not really sure what to do with it. We met up with the Nebraska Independent Film people. We got our hands in with some good characters, some not so great characters, and I took a step back for a little while, and then I rejoined after Josh had met Tyler.
I had to pee. Sorry,
that's okay.
I had to pee from my eyes.
Good man.
Yeah.
But we never really, or I never really had thought about what a film. Making an independent film would look like on the back end, as far as like, well, the film's done now. What do we do with it? And so when I kind of got back into, I'm going to say it, I got back into bed with Josh.
Yeah,
and
hot.
Who hasn't?
Started working with him and Tyler with Midnight Frights, and I had learned about Prairie Lights. And so when we made Emily, I made it a point to come out here because, you know, I never thought about seeing a work that I had done or work that I had worked on the big screen. And, you know, coming out here and getting to see that was just, it lit up my world. Yep. God damn it.
Patrick came out here and saw Emily. He's like, Jesus Christ, guys, do you even know what the fuck you're doing?
No.
And he recut it.
It was actually kind of interesting because my first year here was the screening of Emily, and I was only there for that night, so I didn't get to see the rest of the movies. I didn't really know what the festival was truly about.
Right.
You know, with the mingling with the rest of the artists that are out here, the people who are doing the same things that we are doing. So I didn't get that experience until a year later. And I will have to be honest, I'm not going to be as sentimental about this as you guys are, because I didn't have that breadth of experience, especially you, Josh, being there from the beginning of the whole thing and everything else. But there's also part of me that's not allowing myself to be sentimental about it, because I know there's a new chapter coming.
Right, absolutely.
Sure. You know, because I know that what Matt has started and has chosen to end.
Right.
I'm not because
he put a bookmark in.
He did kind of put a bookmark in it because I think there will be a new iteration of this that supports what his vision was.
Right.
Will it be the same? No, of course not. Of course not. Yeah. What I see in the future is a new venue,
right?
A new name. But I still see it supporting the idea of what he was looking at with supporting Nebraska actors, having it in Nebraska, or Nebraska filmmakers, having it in Nebraska, and just along that same vein. So, like I said, I'm not getting sentimental about it.
Cry,
as
motherfucker.
Much as
just do it.
You're dead to me. You're dead.
Yeah. As much as, like I said, knowing that there's another chapter.
Act like you care. Just cry, Patrick. God damn it. Just do it. Yeah. So
no, I will definitely miss. I mean, this was one of those things that I look forward to every year from that point on. Right. Just saying, you know what, this is. I put a pin in the calendar for that specific weekend, knowing that I'm going to go out and have a wonderful time with people I really care about, talking about things I'm very passionate about.
Right.
This we'd always talked about. This was our New Year's Eve in the filmmaking calendar.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Everything started on the day after Prairie Lights for the next year, and we worked our butts off to get whatever we could done so we could play it here and have a great weekend with all these filmmakers and seeing what everybody else is doing on the exact same vein. So it will be missed, but exactly like you said, this is just the end of one chapter and the start of something brand new. And I'm going to say it's something even far more amazing than what this is going to be, or what this was.
This year, we even without knowing it was the end, we really worked our fucking asses off because we worked on like 4 or 5.
Yeah, we busted asses this year.
Yeah, we had because we had 2 that screened as Midnight Frights films, and then Josh, you had The Feed, which is one that you wrote, and then Kaylie's project, which I DP'd and helped extensely on. So yeah, we had a good showing as a trio of filmmakers this year.
So,
Absolutely.
Fuck, I just hit the mic. We got to start over.
No. All right.
Can everybody cry again?
Yes. And we're back.
You're right. So, I don't know. Anything else?
I think we've said all that's need to be said.
Right.
We'll see what happens on the backside of this, but you can always turn to the Midnight Fright cast. We will be there for the foreseeable future until I make too many weird noises and I get kicked off, or Josh picks too many bad movies and he gets kicked off.
We're just gonna fucking mute your line.
You know what? I have not picked Hellraiser or Begotten, so I'm good.
Oh, but you just mentioned Hellraiser, though.
I did.
Oh yeah, we have to end with that too, just for Maddie.
So yeah, I mean, good time to
wrap it up.
Let's call it. Patrick, do you want to give the deets on where we're foundable?
Nah, I don't feel like it on this one. They know where we are.
Yeah.
MidnightFrightsFilms.com, Midnight Fright Cast on Facebook. You can find us all on there, and we'll catch you on the flippity flip when we are reviewing movies. And we got Maddie back at the basement studio for the Midnight Frights cast. We are signing off from the Prairie Lights Film Festival.
Peace out, Prairie Light peeps.